Japan Pro Wrestling New Japan Cup Night 3 review. I'm Weston. I just watched wrestling. Let's talk about it. Pow. Well, that was a bit disappointing. Here we are at 7:30 in the morning and I'm just sleepy, and we watched a wrestling show, but it wasn't what I was hoping it would be. I said on the preview that there was no way that it would underwhelm or disappoint, but here we are. It wasn't a bad show at all, but it just wasn't as good as it should have been, in my opinion. I'll go ahead and jump right into it. I don't want to waste any of your time. This show started off with the tag match of the night, and it was Suzuki-gun versus Nagata, Uemura, Tsuji, and Kid. I won't give you a match review. I'll just tell you how it ended. Desperado hit the, whatever his finisher is, whatever that thing's called. You know what I'm talking about. He hit that on, who did he hit that on? He hit that on Tsuji and pinned him. But I really think the purpose of that match was mostly just to keep building towards the Nagata-Suzuki feud, which I'm here for. I'm here for them going again. Their match on night 2 still is the match of the tournament. I really thought it was going to be beaten by any one of these matches tonight, but I still think it's standing up as the match of the tournament, so it was awesome, and I'm down to watch it again. So seems like they're building to it. Seems like that's what's going to happen, whether it's a singles match at Dominion or if it's some sort of like New Japan Dads versus Suzuki-gun match, whatever it looks like. I'm here for it. I'm down to watch Nagata and Suzuki beat each other up some more. So it was a good opener. It was interesting that they changed the structure of the show this time around. I guess they just figured that all 4 of these matches were none of them were worthy of like going on before the tag match, whereas they had like obvious show opener matches on the other cards. But I honestly enjoyed the structure of nights 1 and 2 a little bit more. I think having that tag match in the middle just to break up the tournament matches made a lot of sense and worked really well for me. But it is what it is. I don't think that's not like one of the main factors that contributed to this show being a disappointment to me. Honestly, I just think overall it was the match length and the match quality, and also the way they ordered the singles of the tournament matches themselves. But I'll get into it. We started off the tournament matches with Taguchi versus SANADA. This was a solid match. Like, I'm not going to say that any of the matches tonight were bad at all. They were all decent matches, just none of them reached the heights that I was hoping that they would. But this was probably the most lukewarm match of the night. Like, it was just a normal Taguchi match that we would expect. He's doing the whole thing where him and SANADA are going for the same offense, and they're reaching a stalemate, and then they're having to break the stalemate over and over again. Taguchi puts SANADA in a Paradise Lock, but doesn't lock it in right, and so SANADA escapes, and then puts Taguchi in the Paradise Lock, and it's just this back and forth. And then it just ends with a really straightforward, bridging pin from SANADA, and that's it. Nothing special at all. I'll give the match 3 stars. Pretty like average tournament match in comparison to the rest of the matches so far. So worth your time if you have time, but I wouldn't go out of your way to make time for it. One thing that is interesting is what happened after the match when SANADA left his shirt in the ring and Taguchi put it on and held 2 fists up in the air, and it was just kind of like a weird cryptic moment. It could have been a weird cryptic moment, or it could just be a little fun thing they're just doing for no reason at all. But in my mind I was like, I wonder if they're gonna, when SANADA eventually leaves LIJ, which I think could be coming soon, maybe Taguchi's a guy that they're gonna want to team up with him. Maybe Taguchi Japan will, if they're even a faction anymore, maybe they'll break up or SANADA will join them, or however that'll look. I just think that was an interesting moment, and they really did seem to show a lot of respect for each other throughout the match, so maybe they're building to some sort of new faction between them, or at least a team between them, who knows. Next we had what should have been the main event in my mind, Sho versus Shingo. This was definitely match of the night. The style of the match was pretty much exactly what you'd expect out of these two. It was hard hitting. It was fast paced. They got off to a quick start, and I think it was like somewhere between 12 and 15 minutes. Just not high teens, but just a decent little match. Not too long, not too short, and it earned every bit of its time. I honestly wish it would have gone. It could have gone 10 more minutes or longer, and I would have been here for it. If, like I said, if it was me, I would have put it in the main event and had it go almost 30, 20 minutes, however long. I don't know how long is too long in this no fans New Japan time, but yeah, I definitely think they could have given it at least 10 more minutes and just let them do more of the same thing for longer, and I just think it would have felt better, and Sho's victory would have felt more earned. If I had any complaints about it, I would just say that it did seem like this Sho Shingo storyline was something that would have been more effective if it was built up longer, and I thought if they were going to pay it off here, it would have been better paying it off in more of an epic match in the main event where Sho really has to like fight back. But Sho really just kind of won in not a straightforward fashion. He kind of rolled through an armbar into a shock arrow and then hit a second, and it felt opportunistic in a way, but it also just felt dominant in a way, which is just kind of an interesting way to go at it. So I do think that's confirming to me that we're going to get Sho Shingo at Dominion, which I'm here for. They definitely left a lot of meat on the bone, and we've seen what they're capable of in more of a I don't know if it was, I think it was the main event, but a longer match, a more epic match. We know that they can do more than this, but this was still a really great match, and it was really awesome to see Sho get the big win, the biggest one of his career. I'll go 4 stars on it. I just wish it was in the main event and it had a little more time. Then we had Ibushi versus Sabre. So interesting, they put Tanahashi Taichi in the main event, which to me was the third choice for me if I was structuring this card, but it is what it is. Ibushi versus Sabre was alright. It was the match, a similar match to what we've seen out of them many times now, where Ibushi's trying to fire off strikes, but Sabre's countering with submission offense, and I think it went around the same as Sho Shingo, somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes, and yeah, it was fun. It drags a little bit towards the beginning for me. I just think Ibushi and Sabre need the right opponent to bounce off of, and sometimes their matches work for me, but usually they work more towards like the finishing stretches of the match just because they're both so talented in the ring, but they do tend to bore me a little bit in the beginning stretches, and this didn't reach quite the climax that a lot of their matches do or have in the past, and so it was in the end a bit of a disappointment. I think I'm only going to go 3.5 stars on it. I was expecting a 4-star match, something that was a bit more interesting throughout and built a bit better at the end and had more of an exciting back and forth climax, but Ibushi just hit a knee strike and then a Kamigoye pretty much out of nowhere and just put him away. I honestly expected Sabre to counter and for them to get into a closing sequence that lasted longer, but it was a pretty sudden ending, and Ibushi moves on, and that was where my perfect bracket died, so bummer there, but it is what it is. I just sound so bummed out. It really wasn't a bad show. It just wasn't. It wasn't what I thought it would be. The main event, Tanahashi Taichi, as shockingly straightforward as Ibushi's win over what was over Sabre, this was even more shockingly straightforward to me. Super slow paced. I think it went close to 20 minutes. Taichi just is working over Tanahashi. He attacks him before the bell and really just fights from on top the whole time. Tanahashi fought back, I think, a couple of times, but he never really got the kind of momentum that you would expect him to get before trying to build up to some kind of a finishing sequence. It never felt like Tanahashi was really in the match, and I don't know if they're trying to tell a story of Tanahashi having ring rust or if the structure of the match was just poorly planned or it was just off a little bit, but it is what it is. I feel like I'm saying that a lot. The show really just is what it is. Taichi won in, I think, just under 20 minutes in just a really straightforward fashion. I'll go 3.25 on it. I think that at the very least it was interesting and it's compelling that Taichi looks so dominant. It makes me kind of second guess what his prospects could look like for the remainder of the tournament. But I really just think with Ibushi going over Sabre, they wanted to make Taichi look dominant to keep dangerous techers as a strong threat for the tag team titles. But yeah, I just wish both singles matches would have delivered us more, but maybe they're just leaving a lot of the best action for the tag championship match at Dominion. I think that's pretty much confirmed at this point, considering the angle that closed the show. So yeah, the show ends with Taichi standing over Ibushi and Tanahashi, and that's how it goes off the air. Taichi says some stuff into the mic that I don't understand because I don't speak Japanese, and that's that. It is what it is. It was an alright show. I was expecting it to be far and away the best show of the first round, but instead I think honestly it is maybe my least favorite show. I definitely enjoyed night 2 more, and this is right on par with night 1. I'll give it a 7. I feel like my tone has been suggest that I should give it something lower than a 7, but I do recognize that my expectations were just probably a little too high for a first round show in an empty arena. But it was still solid, and it was still fun. It was still enjoyable. I'm glad that I watched it. Not necessarily something that I feel like I had to wake up for early in the morning to watch. I would have been fine with watching this later in the day. Didn't deliver exactly what I expected it would. It probably didn't for you either. But it's New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I'm still happy to have it back, so I'm not going to be too sad about it. It does set up some interesting matches in the next round, but we'll get into that when we preview the second round. For now, thank you for watching. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Peace.